Today we are gonna build the first 3 LEGO Minifigure Habitats for the LEGO Dungeons and Dragons Minifigure series. Ciao a tutti, welcome back to ABrickDreamer. We have the first 3 minifigure here that I selected from the D&D series to start the series of Habitat. We are gonna start with the fan favorite, that is for sure the Dragonborn Paladin. Then we're also gonna have the Dwarf Barbarian, that is one of my favorites, and another very popular one, the Flayer. Now let's move these two on the side and let's start to build right away. I'm not using here the D&D stands because they are already all in my build in the display that I made for the complete series in my MISB display case that I will link down below. So here let's start to build up over here. So what I'm doing here is building a sort of a palace castle courtyard. I need to be a little bit creative with the choice of colors in this case. Because I have many mocks on display and I build the tavern and I build the display last week for all the D&D minifigures, so I don't have all the parts that I usually have available, so I'm going with these medium nougat and dark orange, and then we have some plants also growing. So the plan is to have a sort of archway to go on that way. We have some plants, and over here we have the beginning of a fountain. So I'm going to have a first wall that I'm going to connect here at the back side. Here I try to break down a little bit the color, so instead of using the nougat and the dark orange everywhere, I use a layer in like half of the habitat is going to be in 10 to try to break up a little bit the monotony of the color all on the same way, all in the same color. So over here we have the archway that I'm building up. I'm using some tiles here to add a little bit of texture and some ingots. And then, because I don't think it looked that nice, then I'm using plants in this case, growing on the walls to make it a little bit interesting and a little bit more colorful. Over here, I will have a sort of spill of water coming down from here, and I'm using this interesting kind of claw piece in trans clear blue. So I'm going to connect this sideways to the light brick. So here we have an interesting sort of fountain with the water pouring down, and then I'm planning to have a tower coming down on this side. So here we can start to come in. So because I had this part coming off the wall, I needed to get the wall a little bit backwards. So we have one extra stud over here, so that then I have the space to come off again over here. I want to fill up this gap on the side because it doesn't look nice to have all the white. So I have a little beginning of a stairway. This is going to connect at the back. So when looking from the front perspective, we see this path leading up towards the stairs. And here in the middle, we can have on this stud, the paladin walking out of the palace in the courtyard. So I think it's pretty interesting. And then the final touch, as I say, is this tower. So I'm using a lot of these pieces that come from the tiny plants set that I review, and I use parts for many mocks here on my channel. I'm going to connect this on top, and I also have this interesting sort of cone piece on top, 2 pieces. This is connected just with one stud. Dark red, pretty interesting. I think it fits quite well the theme, and the color sort of work in this color scheme that I have here for the paladin. Now let's move this to the side so we can start to work on the next one, which is the Dwarf Barbarian. So for this one, I'm going with a color scheme that is a bit similar to the one that I use for the goat herd. So I have lime for the grass, and instead of dark gray, I'm going with light gray. So here I have this structure that I'm going to connect here in the middle, and I also can show you a little bit what I did here to create a little bit of details on the side. So here I'm sliding these cheese slopes sideways, so we can have a little bit of this floor going and follow the line diagonally in this case. The same I'm going to do at the bottom. So in this case, I have this layer of gray, and then I'm going to just push in a couple of cheese slopes with the reddish brown here forwards that can be seen, like so. So you can see we have a nice, interesting detail over here. Then, of course, we are going to add another piece over there to complete that. On this side, I'm going to continue the wall. So this is the the side of the wall. This is going to be a sort of kind of mountain pass. By the way, all these things that I'm building, I need to thank one of my viewers. I had a few suggestions from different people in the comments, but this one in particular from, I think, Barbarian, if I'm not wrong. Anyway, I will link it down below. I will probably show an image here of the comment. A lot of great ideas. So the idea for the Dwarf Barbarian is to have a mountain pass. So over here, I'm going to add this one. As I mentioned before, it's going to fill that gap. And I'm going to start to add a little bit of texture with these rocks over there. To get the idea of this pass going deeper into the mountain, I'm going to extend everything at the back to studs in this case. So you can see all the line here is keep on growing until over there. And then I just need to close off this side of the mountain like so. And we can close the top. So my idea is to have a sort of false perspective. A little bit difficult in this scale. So here we have gonna have the Barbarian, and then the path is getting smaller and smaller, smaller in the background. So hopefully from this point of view, it will look like this path is going very, very far away. We need to add some more details. So my idea is to have some more rock work over here, and I'm gonna add a goat to add a little bit of color again, making it a little bit more interesting. And then I also have some rock work on the side. So I have some sort of panels with slopes, then connect on the side. So we are coming a little bit off the grid of the habitat to give some more interesting detail. Now the last thing to do is to add the Barbarian. So I'm gonna lose this piece because I wanna have a fire over here. And to make it look like we have some sort of small logs of wood, I'm just gonna use this piece and I'm gonna slide it under the flame, and the flame will help me to keep the pressure, to keep the piece in position. So you can see now it looks a little bit more interesting. And then I'm gonna have the Barbarian actually sitting down. So I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna twist everything over here, like so, so that his weapon is gonna be on his back while he's sitting over here, waiting for the right time to then go and cross this mountain pass. So I think this is a pretty interesting habitat. Very simple, very straightforward, not difficult to build. You can just be creative in what part you use depending on which kind of slopes you have. And I think it kind of worked the first perspective. It goes smaller and smaller at the back. Now, last one is going to be the Flayer. Also, if you want to know a little bit more about the building process that goes behind this habitat and all my mocks, I have a membership program, and for my Dreamers member, I have a weekly vlog where they can see a little bit the behind the scene of how the thought process worked for this build. And also in the past video that I published on Saturday, they can already see one of the next habitat that will be for the Git Warlock. So the habitat for this one is already there, is already done. And probably the next two that I'm going to build shortly are going to be these two, okay, the Ranger and the Bard. If you have some ideas, some recommendation for this, leave it in the comments. I already have something in mind, but I can always change my mind if you have a very interesting suggestion. Now, for the Flayer, I'm going to build a sort of dungeon, a creepy kind of dungeon. So, of course, I have a big big dark gray wall over here where I added a skeleton. So a skeleton, we have a torch over here made with a wand, very simple, very straightforward, some chains coming down. And I'm going to use the same technique over here that I used for my display last week. Somebody was asking me how this works, so I can show this one, for example. This is using a bracket, basically. So I'm going to connect the bracket, and there is another plate. And this is going to connect over there. So you can see this is just going to align straight like so. So with a bracket and one plate at the back, it aligns perfectly with the brick over there. But potentially you can use other pieces. So I think for my display last week, I used this kind of pieces. I don't know exactly how it's called. It's a sort of modified tile 2x2. So this is perfect because you can just add over here 2 plates and at the back also 2 plates. So you can just take it there, come out, and everything will be aligned perfectly. But going on, let's move on and let's try to finish this creepy dungeon. So I'm going to complete the wall and close it on the top. Now, before I add the my Flayer, I'm gonna add some details and a little bit of color. So I'm gonna have a small table here to fill out the gap. I had to be creative here because I don't have any more, very little parts in dark gray, slopes in particular, because a lot of mine are in the display that I have for the Batman tumbler chase with the waterfall. So I ordered some parts that are not here yet, so I need to replenish my parts collection that is a little bit small compared to what you see generally online. So I always try to build a little bit smaller. So here we have the companion here, what is it called, Mind Devour, something like that, on top of a barrel, and then we can add some accessory. This could be from that skeleton, maybe it was some sort of knight or warrior that was moving around this dungeon. And over here at the front, I'm gonna add on that jumper the Mind Flayer a little bit on the side so it doesn't block the view of the center. So sometimes also the placement of these minifigure is important in order to highlight the different parts of the habitats. Also, I have a couple of interesting things that you might want to check out. I'm gonna have an Amazon link down below because I noticed that this minifigure, the Dungeons & Dragons minifigure, are going for 17% discount now. This is the pack of 6 minifigures. Of course, they're gonna be random, so you're not gonna get necessarily what you're looking for. And also, an interesting deal, I saw 20% off on the 3-1 Castle. It's a very interesting set, very good if you need parts as well, so it's a good parts pack if you need to build something medieval or Dungeons & Dragons kind of thing. So I recommend you to go and check out. That's a way to support the channel. I will earn a small commission, but there's no extra cost for you. And also on Amazon, they sell the new LEGO board game Monkey Palace. I haven't played it yet. I should watch some video probably. It looks like a simple game, but more like, not like the old LEGO games, but more like the kind of modern board game style of games. They sell it on Amazon, so you can go and check it out. It might be something interesting to add to your collection. Let me know which one is your favorite over here. Let me know your suggestion for the next habitat. And also I will link down below the display case that you saw last week and my membership program if you want some more behind the scenes. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more habitats, you can start by looking at my series from the CMF Space series. That I have some very cool habitats from that series as well. Thank you very much for watching. See you on the next one. Ciao, ciao.